Usually the prime ministers are gray-haired, but here's Prime Minister Trudeau. He's probably the youngest-looking person in the cabinet.
It seems that he's someone like 40?
43.
43 years old.
Second youngest prime minister we've had. In general, you know, Canada is a nation that trades internationally. It relies on liberal international rules and practices because we have such a...
Swadika, welcome to Thailand. Today I'm Kusamayo Tasmut as your host. In wake of Liberal Party's convincing victory in the Canadian general election, the 43-year-old Prime Minister designate Justin Trudeau has attracted worldwide attention for a variety of reasons. More importantly, it has raised questions about his and the new government's position and commitment on several fronts, namely foreign policy, international trade, and global security issues. This is Thailand Today. I am pleased to be interviewing the Canadian ambassador to Thailand, His Excellency Mr. Philip CALVERT. He will answer questions on Canadian elections, his country's new leader Justin Trudeau, and how the new Liberal government's policy platform will influence its relations with Thailand and the world. Please welcome His Excellency Philip CALVERT, Canadian ambassador to Thailand. Swadika.
Swadika. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, I should thank you for being here because there's a lot to talk about.
Indeed.
First of all, I would like to congratulate for your new cabinet.
Thank you.
And also, you have a lot of symbols with you.
I'm wearing a lot of symbols today.
Yeah, what are they?
Well, let's talk about this first. This is orange. This is the, if you can see this, these are wristbands related to the 16 days of activism against violence against women.
Oh.
So that started November 25th, and it goes on for 16 days. And this morning at the residence, I had an event to commemorate this issue. It's also to commemorate a very sad event in Canada. Back in 1989, there was what we've called a Montreal massacre, where a gunman went into a school in Montreal. He separated the men from the women, said, "I hate feminists," and started shooting the women. So that was a terrible event. Canadians remember it very well. But out of that came this desire to look at our own laws, look at our institutions, and do more about this issue. And that eventually, that and other events got spurred the international community to start this 16 days of activism. Actually, it's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So this is the event that we had this morning. And the orange armband is because orange has become a symbol of uniting against gender-based violence. So you will have noticed the Australian embassy had for a few days was all orange, lit up in orange. Niagara Falls, the Empire State Building. So around the world, buildings are being lit up in orange to symbolize that countries are unified in their struggle to against gender-based violence. So that's why the symbol. That's how we had this event this morning, and it'll continue for another several days, ending on Human Rights Day, International Human Rights Day, on the 10th.
So the whole country also in orange, or somehow somewhere?
Well, there are symbols around the country. People will, of course, wear orange. For Canada, this is an important part of our foreign policy. Gender equality is important to us. The issue of violence against women, the issue of gender-based violence is also something that we address, and we have funded through our development agency many programs to deal with women's equality, to promote awareness, and to fight gender discrimination. So one of the key players here in Bangkok is UN Women, international organization, and we work very closely with them and the Thailand Institute of Justice. We work with them on projects as well to bring the issue to people's awareness, to find ways to educate people, and to find ways to reduce this violation of human rights, because really violence against women is the most widely violated human right in the world, and no one talks about it. So we have to talk about it, we have to bring it out in the open. And there's some alarming statistics, you know, in Canada, for example. And Canada, we know this is important to us, and we believe our country is doing a lot on this. But even in Canada, for example, every 6 days a woman is killed by her intimate partner. You know, we have 3,000 women in shelters, emergency shelters, running away from domestic violence. So Canada has a lot of work to do too, but we also want to work with other countries to help us all collectively address this issue in Thailand. In Thailand, in fact, I heard this morning from the Thailand Institute of Justice is that every 15 minutes a woman is raped. It's very tough. So it's important that we all work together and address this very strong social problem.
Yes, so please that at least another one corner of the world realized about this kind of thing and is very good. So that's one orange. How about the next orange?
Well, this is actually
altogether.
This is a white wristband, the 16 Days of Activism. This is orange because orange is the color of uniting. And this is I got this at a temple actually.
Nothing to do with it.
But I chose. He asked me to choose a color, so I chose orange.
Choose orange.
So.
And that's
Yes.
that is.
This is he for she.
Yes.
This he for she is a movement started earlier this year in which men take pledges to fight violence against women. So you take a pledge like, I will speak out, I will educate my children about proper relationships, I will not stay silent, etc. And so you can go online, you can take the pledge, he for she. This morning I took the pledge and had a photo and I got my pin.
Oh,
so we of course want to promote this amongst everywhere. I mean, violence against women is a men's issue as well as a women's issue, and that's what he for she says.
Yeah. All right, so we know all the symbols the ambassador has with him, a few pieces.
Some elephants too.
Elephant that we all know. So let me go to what I congratulated you before, that is the ambassador. You had the signature Justin Trudeau now.
Yes.
And he's supposed to be the son of the former Prime Minister.
He is.
And then do people of Canada realize that, of the similarity, or they are different anyhow?
Well, you know, it's another generation. People know, of course, Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, who is very prominent globally. In fact, I'm old enough that I worked in the government for his father, as well as for this Prime Minister. So it's, you know, it's kind of going back in some ways to this government. Of course, it was Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau was Prime Minister in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. It was a very different time, and so this Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has new challenges to face and new issues to address. So we're very happy that, you know, this has been this victory. It was a very strong victory. And I wanted to show you something about his cabinet.
When we talk about him, the Thai should know.
Sure.
Who is this, Mr.?
So, shall I point out the Prime Minister? Usually the Prime Ministers are gray-haired, but here's Prime Minister Trudeau. He's probably the youngest-looking person in the cabinet.
It seems that he's someone like 40?
43.
43 years old.
Second youngest Prime Minister we've had.
In the world, I suppose.
Well, second youngest Prime Minister in Canada. One Prime Minister was 39, but he's 43 and came to a very strong victory. But there's a few things about the cabinet that are very interesting. One is that if you count, it's 50% women, 50% men.
Really?
So for the first time in Canada's history, we have a cabinet in which there's gender equality. And all these cabinet members, they're not picked because they're women. They're all very talented. Our trade minister has a background in international trade, and so forth. So our environment minister has a background in environmental policy.
I could see some other nationality. It's a mix. There's some Indian, some.
Well, you know.
Oh, this is a.
Here's the question: what does a Canadian look like? And you know,
I want to ask you that.
Well, I had a question. I was at a reception a few days ago. We go to a lot of receptions, you know. And it was some country, I won't say which, from a European country came to me and said, "Oh, you're the Canadian ambassador." I thought so because you look Canadian. And I said, well, everyone in this room looks Canadian, you know, whether they look Thai or Chinese or Indian or anything, because Canada is a diverse country, and the cabinet reflects the diversity. We have, of course, we have some Indigenous people, the largest number of Indigenous people in the cabinet. Our Minister of Justice is Indigenous person, Minister of Fisheries. As I said, we have gender equality. We have more Sikhs in the Canadian cabinet than India.
You could see that.
And our Minister of Defense is a Sikh. Of course, he's of course Canadian.
Smart,
he has military experience. He served 3 times in Afghanistan. He's a colonel, served 3 times in Afghanistan, and 1 time in Bosnia. So he's a toughened, experienced soldier.
What position are they?
Minister of Defense.
Defense.
So you have a Minister of Defense who's got strong military experience, but of course Indian origin, and that's what makes us proud about Canada, is this diversity, which we believe makes us strong.
The broad-mindedness of the people and the government of Canada to open up to welcome the Syrian refugees. So who are they? I mean, you said you have to send a group, I mean, to what you call to invite them, but you have to send immigration and all that. Who are the people that being accepted and invited?
Well, we have we work with the UN High Commission for Refugees to screen the refugees. Our priority has been looking at bringing in families, bringing in especially single parents.
Okay.
And then a third category is men who are vulnerable because of LGBT discrimination. So if there's discrimination and they face danger there, then they're part of our priorities as well. So we're really trying to, I think, focus on bringing families in, bringing children in, and you know, 25,000 is a lot to do, but it's such a huge problem that there's so much to do and so many refugees yet to be who will need to be settled. It'll be a challenge for the globe.
Yeah. Well, I in fact wanted to go out because Canada has been doing a lot. Climate change, helping of the Syrian and all that. But let me come back for the climate change later. But we want to know how do you have the whole picture of do you envisage any major changes in the way of Liberal government will interact with this world political and commercially?
I think so, yes. And I think one of the issues you mentioned is in fact climate change. Climate change, the Prime Minister has made it clear that climate change is a priority for this government, addressing the issue of climate change, that we're in a situation where the world must take action and Canada will do its part. So he is, in fact, today he's at the summit in Paris and with our foreign minister. What he has said is that this has to be a collaborative effort in Canada. So he's invited all the premiers of our provinces to come, because in Canada, premiers are very powerful constitutionally, and they have responsibility for environment issues too. He's invited them to come with us, with him, and that is one change, is that the much higher profile climate change is given in our government, in our part of our government's domestic and international priorities. Our foreign minister used to be environment minister, and so he is very focused on environmental issues and climate change. Our Ministry of the Environment is now the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change, and we've been told that essentially every ministry in our government has an aspect of climate change in its mandate. So this is a very powerful message and an urgent message, I think. So that's one issue. I think secondly, we are paying, I think, greater attention to the United Nations, to our multilateral engagement. And that was made clear, I think, when the Prime Minister met early on in his career, met the Secretary General of the United Nations, and we're committed to multilateralism and strengthening our multilateral engagement, which historically has been one of Canada's strengths as a multilateral player. So there are 2 early indications of the government's priorities. And then I think finally, as another early indication, as I mentioned, the gender equality in the cabinet, I think gender equality will continue to be an important part of our policy, domestic policy and foreign policy.
You people seem to be very happy because everybody seems to be receiving and not following, but understand what is your government is doing.
Yeah, they're good on communication. You know, the Prime Minister is young, and so he knows about communicating to young people, communicating the message. He, you know, as I said, he communicates well, and I think he engages with people well. So he's been very strong in that front. He's a solid communicator. But what he did also was when he was in the opposition parties, he went across Canada. He met every sort of riding. He went and spent years meeting people to learn what their concerns were. So you know, he comes to the job with an understanding of what Canadians want.
It is by election. You got it by election.
Yes. Yes. It's a parliamentary system. So the members of parliament are elected. The party with the most seats forms the government, and the leader of the party is the Prime Minister. So that's.
And he formed by himself. He formed the cabinet by himself.
Yeah, there's no, not a coalition or anything.
No,
he had a majority. He had 184 seats, which gave him about a 14-seat majority in Parliament. So a very strong mandate.
Oh, very good. Let me know about the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yes.
So has attracted a lot of debate and opposition here. Well, what is it? How do your government doing?
Well, we have, we're members of the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yes.
We have just signed on to it. The government has committed to, of course, the government is interested in international trade and is supportive of international trade. They are going to want to review it because they're a new government. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was signed by the previous government. We have to go through an implementation process, a parliamentary ratification. That'll take some time, and in that process, the government will want, of course, to look at it to see, make sure that it's in keeping with what we want to accomplish. But in general, you know, Canada is a nation that trades internationally. It relies on liberal international rules and practices because we have such a small population. We have to sell our products and services internationally. So we've always been a promoter of liberal trade liberalization, of open markets. And we have unilaterally over the past few years lowered our tariff barriers and given preferential tariffs to less developed countries. I just wanted to, on climate change, I wanted to get back on climate change because the Prime Minister also just made a commitment in Paris to donate another $2.5 billion, or about 70 billion baht, to the Global Climate Change Fund, which will go to help the least developed countries meet their climate change obligations, their greenhouse gas obligations. So we see this as something that we want to cooperate globally in. We want to, you know, a low carbon economy. We want to have a concerted effort on the part of all countries to address this serious issue. In
fact, it's a very important issue that we have to talk. We have to invite you back for that because this is not an easy thing. That means that Canada must be, and the government has been seeing such the damage to the whole world.
Yes.
So, but I need to ask you before our time is so limited that Canada's relationship, because in the wake of you have a domestically politics settled up now. So about Canada's relationship with Thailand and ASEAN.
And ASEAN, certainly. Yes. Well, with Thailand, we've always had strong relations with Thailand. It's over 50 years of bilateral relations. We have strong people-to-people ties. And our relations are good and strong. Thailand has been our largest ASEAN trading partner, so you know the relations are good. There are, as you probably know, there are certain constraints on our high-level interaction with the. In the current political situation, like other countries have acted in the same way. But we've had a very dynamic and vibrant exchanges despite that on education, in business. I just hosted a reception for alumni of Thai alumni of Canadian universities. So we had 160 people in this room from all through Thai society and government. In fact, the new Secretary General of the National Economic and Social Development Board, Kun Pormati, is
graduate from there.
graduate of Carleton University in Canada. So these ties are very important to us, and we're really trying to build our education ties, because I believe these are very fundamental to relations between a country, these strong, enduring people-to-people ties.
That's what I was about to. I told you that there's a lot to talk about, including education.
Yes.
Maybe next time you're
Sure.
invited. But I have 1 minute, Your Excellency,
Sure.
because since the ambassador is not, well, as a Canadian, also here, and not only generating the warmth and regards to the people on the world, but to one important thing, run here.
Oh,
It's
yes.
called Cancer Run here.
Yes,
so 1
the
minute,
Run for
why don't
Cancer
you
Care.
invite the people
Sure.
there to join you?
The Run for Cancer Care will take place February 6th in Lumpini Park. It is all the benefits will go to Thailand. It's the benefit the Red Cross Hematological Cancer Research Center at Chulalongkorn University. Please come out, run, walk, roll, or amble around Lumpini Park. It's something that Canada's been doing for years. It's organized by the Anantara Hotel. They're great partners for us. Come out and join us on February 6th and support cancer care research.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much, Your
Thank you.
Excellency, but you need to come back for more information.
all right.
We need to know
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
So Thailand today would like to thank Canadian Ambassador to Thailand, Mr. Philip CALVERT, who assured us that the new government in Ottawa will continue to push for closer relations with Thailand. It is business as usual, and the relationship is unlikely to be affected significantly by any potential shift in how Canada engage with the outside world. So thank you very much, Excellency, for being here.
Thank you.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Thailand Today. I'm Kusma Yotha Smooth. Hope to see you again tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
There we go.